There's little question that drag racing has reached soaring heights as a professional sport, which enjoys phenomenal popularity. National events draw hundreds of thousands of people. Major sponsorship represents millions of dollars invested by many, many big-ticket corporations supporting the cars and drivers that wear their product brand names. And there are now national TV contracts pumping even more fame and fortune into this quarter-mile motorsport. But such was not always the case. Organized drag racing was hatched from the hot rod craze that sprouted in the 50s, primarily in Southern California. When law enforcement officials realized that they could reduce the dangers of street racing by providing a safe place for the youngsters to settle their grudges, vacant airport runways became the first known sanctioned drag strips. By the 1960s, the muscle car boom had gripped the entire country, and organized drag racing was trying to get a stronger foothold on the East Coast. And in 1991, one of the great success stories for drag racing east of the Mississippi celebrated its 25th anniversary. New England Dragway in Epping, New Hampshire, just a little over an hour north of Boston, is the only quarter-mile drag strip operating in New England. And its survival and success is a strong testament to the devotion that its racers and spectators share. Ron Champagne is the general manager of New England Dragway.
In 1966, New England Dragway was formed. Many towns were opposed to the drag racing that was going on in Sanford, Maine, Orange, Mass, and Walpole, Massachusetts. So the racers got together and bought shares into the New England Dragway. In 1966, the first race was held in September. New England Dragway was sanctioned by AHRA, which is the American Hot Rod Association. Approximately a few years later, about 5 or 6 years later, New England Dragway changed over to NHRA, which is the National Hot Rod Association. In 1991, for the 1992 season, New England Dragway has signed a contract with IHRA, which is the International Hot Rod Association, with 2 nationally televised events being scheduled for 1992.
The IHRA affiliation will undoubtedly pay off in added exposure for the Dragway. Increased exposure obviously leads to bigger attendance, and that means more revenue for maintenance and improvements, 2 aspects of any professional race facility that are vital to its prosperity.
Over the years, safety regulations have required many changes to occur. If you look at the film, you will see 1.5 to 2-inch piping that went down both edges of the track. That has progressed over the seasons to the present conditions of Jersey barriers being placed on both sides of the track.
There have been other drag facilities in New England in past years, but New England Dragway has endured through slow economies, the Vietnam War, an oil shortage or 2, and a somewhat lethargic period in the 70s for high-performance automobiles, to emerge as the only game in town for drag racers from Maine to Connecticut. Over the years, New England Dragway has presented some of drag racing's best-known stars. In the 60s and 70s, drivers like Don Prudhomme, Bruce Larson, and the late Jungle Jim Lieberman thundered through the traps at New England. Jet cars, wheel standers, Top Fuel, funny cars, and countless regional heavyweights have all been hole-shotting each other at New England Dragway for over 2 decades. And along with the pros, New England Dragway has helped fuel its own success by giving the total amateur a place to bring his car and get on it.
New England Dragway organized in the mid-70s what they called Grudge Night, the Wednesday night race, which we today call All Pro Auto Parts Street Night. And we do it so that the guy can come home from work on a Wednesday night, and instead of going down Elm Street and racing his neighbor in a dangerous environment, can say, hey, let's go down to New England Dragway. For a minimum cost, can get in a safe environment, can get educated on how to do it. Their cars are inspected to make sure they're safe to go down the track, and they can race their buddy with a timing system.
The upcoming season is expected to be the biggest and best yet at New England Dragway. There are those who were around in the very beginning who might be a little surprised that after 2 decades in which many facilities like this track fell by the wayside, New England Dragway races on.
Many of the original stockholders are responsible for founding and building New England Dragway. Although they've retired, the race car are still around today in different capacities. And they get a lot of enjoyment out of going up and see the new generation of races. A lot of their kids are now racing on a weekly basis. And to them, when they walk into the facility and see the growth, see the improvement, and see the stands full of people today, it's a big pleasure for them, because when they built this years ago, they built it only for one purpose. It wasn't to put money in the bank or anything like that. It was to let people drag race, and that's where the slogan came from, built by the racers for the racers.
Racers built it, and racers have enjoyed it for 25 years. And in an era when there are so many sources of excitement and entertainment jostling for our attention, it's reassuring to know, at least if you're a fan of this straight-ahead sport, that New England Dragway is continuing a winning tradition.
And this is where the stockholders have gotten their satisfaction of the 25 years that they've put into New England Dragway. And of course, they're hoping for another 25 years and beyond that. If not for them, if they're no longer around, you know, for their children and their grandchildren to enjoy.